Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tearing down the walls of a truly foundational chapter in business studies, one that focuses on an organization's absolute most vital resource. And hey, we aren't just looking at dry, dusty administrative theory here. No way. We're actually analyzing a high-stakes narrative about human capital. We're going to unpack the mechanics of staffing, exploring exactly how businesses find, keep, and grow the talent that ultimately dictates whether they survive or sink. Okay, let's dive right into this. To really grasp the gravity of staffing, look no further than this famous quote from Narayana Murthy, the visionary former CEO of Infosys. Infosys, if you don't know, is this massive, knowledge-intensive software services company. And what's absolutely fascinating, and honestly pretty unusual in the corporate world, is that they literally include human resources on their financial balance sheet. They do that to firmly affirm their asset value. In an industry where competitors are constantly poaching IT talent, Murthy recognized that human beings, with all their collective expertise, innovation, and leadership, are the true foundation of corporate success. You can have the best technology in the world, absolutely. But if those assets decide not to walk back through your door tomorrow morning, your business grinds to a halt. Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. We're going to cover 1. The value of human assets, 2. Planning the workforce, 3. The recruitment process, 4. Making the selection, and 5. Training and development. Let's get into it. Section 1. The value of human assets, the foundation of organizational success. The reality here is simple, but man, is it ruthless. The right people can help you take your business to the absolute top, and the wrong people, well, they can completely break it. And that brings us to our core definition. Once a business has planned its goals and organized its structure, the next inevitable step is staffing. Staffing is basically the managerial function of filling and, just as importantly, keeping filled the positions within that organizational structure. In the simplest terms, it's putting people to jobs. But, as an inherent part of human resource management, it's not just some one-time event you check off a list. It's a continuous, ongoing process concerned with obtaining, utilizing, and maintaining a highly satisfactory and satisfied workforce. It recognizes that the individual worker is the ultimate performer here. Moving on to Section 2, planning the workforce, creating the blueprint for success. Now, what's really interesting about this is that long before a company ever posts a job listing, they have to figure out exactly who they actually need. The fundamental equation of workforce planning requires balancing two distinct assessments. On one side, we have workload analysis. This is looking at the organizational objectives and determining exactly how many people and what specific types of skills are necessary to get the job done. On the other side, we have workforce analysis. This is kind of turning the mirror inward and assessing the number and types of human resources you currently have available within the organization. Comparing the workload, what you need, against the workforce, what you already have, reveals the true operational blueprint of your manpower requirements. Let's see how this builds into the next crucial step. You have to get that blueprint right, because neither extreme is desirable. If your analysis reveals overstaffing, well, you're facing the underutilization of personnel and incredibly high labor costs. It breeds this toxic organizational culture of more play, less work, which nobody wants. But on the flip side, understaffing leads to a severe disruption of work, unfulfilled business objectives, and rapid employee burnout because, well, you've got too few people carrying way too heavy a load. The ultimate goal of this planning phase is to find that perfect equilibrium. You want to avoid wasted time, wasted effort, and for sure, wasted money. Section 3, the recruitment process, the hunt for top talent. Okay, so once that blueprint is set and we know exactly who we need, an organization goes on the hunt. They actively go out into the market to search for prospective candidates. And often, an organization has to look outside its own walls to find fresh talent. Here are 3 distinct external sources of recruitment used a lot today. First, placement agencies and management consultants. These professional recruiters are excellent for matching highly specific technical or executive skills. They compile vast databases of candidates, and they can even entice top talent away from competitors. Second, advertising on television. This allows companies to broadcast detailed job profiles and organizational culture to a massive, wide-ranging audience. And third, web publishing and internet job portals. This is pretty much the modern standard, providing dedicated websites that directly connect active job seekers with organizations hunting for suitable people, usually at lightning speed. Bringing us to Section 4, making the selection, surviving the gauntlet. While recruitment casts a very wide net to attract as many candidates as possible, selection is the exact opposite. It's a highly rigorous filtering phase. So let's walk through this multi-stage gauntlet that candidates have to navigate. It begins with preliminary screening, which just filters out candidates who clearly don't meet the minimum qualifications based on their applications. Those who pass move on to selection tests, which might measure intelligence, aptitude, or specific skills. Step 3 is the employment interview, a formal, in-depth conversation designed to heavily evaluate the applicant's suitability while also giving the candidate a chance to ask questions of their own. If they survive that, Step 4 involves reference and background checks to verify their past performance and character. And only then do we reach Step 5, the final selection decision, which is heavily influenced by the manager who will ultimately be responsible for that new employee's performance. Now, I want you to reflect on your own experiences for a second. Have you ever seen a company hire the completely wrong person for a job? I mean, it happens all the time. The U.S. Department of Labor actually estimates a bad hire can cost up to 30% of their first-year earnings. It's huge. The selection process exists entirely to avoid two massive, costly mistakes. The first is an accept error. This is when a company successfully hires a candidate, but that candidate ultimately performs poorly on the job. The second is a reject error, which is rejecting a candidate who actually would have performed magnificently if they had been hired. So the crucial point here is that there is immense financial and operational tension in the selection process to get this decision exactly 100% right. And finally, Section 5, training and development, investing in the future. So, once you have successfully navigated the gauntlet and avoided those nasty selection errors, you bring the talent inside. Because you don't just want to hire great people, you want to nurture them. This age-old wisdom perfectly captures the essence of this phase. If you wish to plan for a year, sow seeds. If you wish to plan for 10 years, plant trees. If you wish to plan for a lifetime, develop people. In our rapidly changing, technologically complex society, jobs are no longer simple. They aren't static. Therefore, continuous employee learning is no longer just some optional perk. It's an absolute survival strategy for any business that wants to last a lifetime. Now, there is a vital distinction here that, honestly, a lot of people get completely wrong. Training and development are not the same thing. Training is a targeted, short-term process designed to increase specific skills and abilities for an employee's current job. It's, teaching someone how to operate a new piece of software today. Development, however, is a long-term, ongoing process. It's focused on the overall growth, education, and career progression of the individual in all respects. It's about grooming that software operator to possess the analytical and leadership skills to become a visionary manager tomorrow. Development actually includes training, but it is vastly broader in scope. To facilitate all this growth, companies use a variety of methods. Let's look briefly at off-the-job training methods. These intentionally take employees away from their daily work environment so they can focus entirely on learning. This includes classroom lectures and conferences, which are excellent for conveying specific rules or procedures. It includes the use of films, which can explicitly demonstrate complex skills that are just kind of hard to describe with words. And crucially, it includes case studies, where employees analyze real organizational problems, determine causes, and synthesize alternative solutions. It's brilliant because it builds their real-world problem-solving skills in a completely safe environment. So we've traced the entire life cycle together, from planning the blueprint to the hunt of recruitment, the gauntlet of selection, and finally, the lifelong investment of development. I want to leave you with a critical challenge today. Look closely at your own workplace. Considering the massive financial and operational costs of accept and reject errors, how optimally staffed is your organization right now? Are you understaffed, overstaffed? And most importantly, returning to Narayana Marthy's profound thought from earlier, what specific steps will you take to ensure your absolute greatest assets want to willingly walk back through your doors tomorrow morning? Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning and keep growing your people.